I'm Zainab. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost Hussein. I'm Zainab. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost Hussein. I am the mother of sorrows. Wherever I go, all follows. I am the mother of sorrows. Wherever I go, all follows. I'm Zainab. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost Hussein. I'm Zainab. All my life I lived in pain. I'm Zainab. I died when I lost Hussein. Zainab is in Karbala crying in pain. Oh my dear brother, where are you, Hussein? Zainab's in Karbala crying in pain. Oh my dear brother, where are you, Hussein? Oh my Hussein, 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 oh my Hussein. After the bloodshed and after the wars, after her sons would lay caught up in thirst, after they dragged her without all her clothes, 4 months in a prison her husband now knows. Oh my dear wife, you were so young, your hair is now white. Husband of mine, your Zainab has seen the worst day in sight. We are the Prophet's own family and blood, the ship of salvation when lost in the flood. Our doorsteps were known by you beggars the most. Is this how you treat us, the heavenly host? If you will leave and want to do wrong, then we are the ones. Leave us till death, but Hassan and he are Prophet's own sons. Zainab's in Karbala crying in pain. Oh my dear brother, where are you, Hussein? Zainab's in Karbala crying in pain. Oh my dear brother, where are you, Hussein? Oh my Hussein, 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 oh my Hussein. Out of the tents came the son of Hussein, who looked like the Prophet and bore Ali's name. He fought off the throngs with a Hashemi sword, defending his mother, his father, his Lord. The youth was brought down, the truth was brought down, and falsehood fulfilled. And from afar it looked like to us the Prophet was killed. Here is Hussein with an infant in arm. The hand of a father protect him from harm, from thirst and from hunger, from cold and from heat. He lays down his baby by enemies' feet. This is my son, please for a child's thirst have respect. How can I say the arrow that pierced your white baby's neck? Zainab's in Karbala crying in pain. Oh my dear brother, where are you, Hussein? Zainab's in Karbala crying in pain. Oh my dear brother, where are you, Hussein? Oh my Hussein, 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 oh my Hussein. Take me to Karbala, leave me there. Take me to Karbala, leave me there. Take me to Karbala, leave me there. Leave me there, take me to Karbala. Leave me there, take me to Karbala, leave me there. Take me to Karbala, leave me there, leave me there. Hussein, oh, Hussein, oh, Hussein, oh, Hussein, oh. نادى علي يا مظهر العجائب، نادى علي يا مظهر العجائب، تجده عونا لك في النوائب. كل هم وغم سينجلي، كل هم وغم سينجلي بعظمتك يا الله، بعظمتك يا الله، بنبوتك يا محمد، بنبوتك يا محمد، بولايتك علي 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 زينب 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 يا زينب. حرنا شهید حرنا شهید حرنا شهید حرنا شهید شهید حرنا شهید حرنا شهید حرنا شهید حرنا شهید شهید حرنا شهید حرنا شهید حرنا شهید حرنا أمزي
علي علي أكبر ولدي 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 Mirror of Payambar, Khuda Hafiz, Khuda Hafiz. Mirror of Payambar, Khuda Hafiz, Khuda Hafiz. Reflection of Haydar, Khuda Hafiz, Khuda Hafiz. My most precious treasure, Khuda Hafiz, Khuda Hafiz. My Aliyah Akbar,
Khuda Hafiz, Khuda Hafiz.
Your turn to live has come, Waladi. My heart is in pieces, Waladi. All the women and children lined up to bid you a farewell, Waladi. My heart is in pieces, Waladi. All the women and children lined up to bid you a farewell.
Karbala, Karbala, to Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. I left my heart in Karbala, in Karbala, in Karbala. From Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. I left my heart in Karbala, in Karbala, in Karbala. The luminous moon lightening the way, the rising sun that brightens the day. Heaven without you would be in flames. You're the heaven in Karbala, in Karbala, in Karbala. Your visitors offer you their hands. Enemies will never understand. How can the water lose to the sand? How can the thirst win in Karbala, in Karbala, in Karbala? Oh, heaven is opening, Ya Hussein. Oh, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر والقمر
من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعن الله الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى قيام يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. Respected brothers, sisters, today is the day of Ashura. It's the day of mourning. In hadith we are told that we should meet with one another, we should greet one another, we should give condolences to one another. And the spirit of our condolences is expressed in the Arabic statement which the Imams have encouraged that we greet each other with. They say that you can greet each other with the following line: أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالحسين وجعلنا وإياكم من الطالبين بثاره مع وليه الإمام المهدي من آل محمد عليه السلام. May Allah increase the reward that you have for mourning for Imam Hussein. Meaning what? Meaning that our responsibility on such a day is to come together and remind one another about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And not just that, we then pray, we say, may Allah make you and us among those who are part of the mission to secure revenge for what happened to him. Meaning that the mission for truth and justice, the mission for the restoration of true values. But led by whom? Led by Imam al-Mahdi, Ajallahu Farajahu Sharif. So that's why we're here to condole one another, to express our grief, to show our commitment, to give our condolences to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, and inshallah to shed tears. This act of shedding tears is extremely important. But I want to explain a little bit before talking about the events and talking about the history. I want to explain a little bit about why we should cry and what are we crying for and what is this all about. They say, just by way of example, they say there was once a beggar who was really in need, and so he was asking for help. And he was crying, he was out of hunger, needs some help for his family, for himself. There was somebody who was fairly wealthy who had just gone to the store, had a whole bag of groceries, who comes and he sees this beggar and he sees the beggar crying. So he sits by him, and when the beggar says his story, it's a sad story, this rich man starts to cry as well. So they're both crying. And after some time, the rich man stands up, he wipes off his tears, and he heads off on his way. And the beggar calls to him, he says that, you spent that time with me, you shed those tears. You have some extra bread, it seems, in your grocery bag. Can you give me some of your bread? And the man tells him that, I can give you as many tears as you want, but I can't give you any of my bread. And he walks away. Unfortunately, sometimes, maybe for someone like myself, we come to these occasions and we're ready to weep, but if we don't have the right understanding, then that's all that we do. Even that has value though. Even that has value. Even that one tear, if we can shed it, it has value. In hadith, there's amazing ahadith from authentic books which talk about the value of one tear that is shed out of grieving for Imam Hussein. For example, in one hadith, it says that somebody who sheds that tear, then Allah will protect their face from the hellfire. In another hadith, it says that when somebody sheds that tear, Allah Ta'ala orders the angels in heaven to construct accommodation for them, just through that one tear. And that accommodation is big enough to accommodate them and their family and their children and their children's children. Why? Because somebody who sheds a tear for Imam Hussein, there's a lot of hope that will have value beyond just their lives. Their family will be affected by it. Their family's family and so on. Generations can be righteous because of the tear that is shed by the great-grandfather. But what kind of tears? How can these tears be something which is useful to Imam Hussein alayhi salam? This is where we have to look and understand that from an Islamic perspective, events that happen in the past are not disconnected from what's happening with us right here and now. Even though Karbala and Ashura took place more than 1400 or 1400 years ago, every year when Muharram comes along, it's as if we're being asked once again that what is our position with respect to what took place in Karbala. That's why if you look at what the Imams say of what should we do on this day, they say that among the most highly recommended acts is Ziyarat Ashura. Ziyarat Ashura, what is the gist of Ziyarat Ashura? It's that if we can, we go to Karbala. If we can, we do it from far away. We send our salam to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and then 100 times we do la'an on those people who killed him, and 100 times again we say salam to him. Now, what does that mean? Why would the Imams want us to 100 times repeat this? Allahumma al'an awwala zalimin zalama. And then on the other hand, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala arwah allati halat binaik. What is the point of that? The point of that, brothers and sisters, is for us to be able to wake up our hearts, for us to ask ourselves that where am I with respect to Imam Hussein and the path of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. There's a very beautiful khutbah in Nahj Balagha. I quoted one line from it yesterday night. Let me quote the second line. Just to review yesterday, I said that Imam Ali alayhi salam says, do not be scared about taking the path of guidance. Even though there's very few people who are going to be with you. You're going to be in the minority. It's okay. And then he says that most people are like people who are gathered around a table and they're all trying to satisfy their hunger from this small table, and the only thing they're getting is more hungry from doing that. Meaning that what? Meaning most people are just obsessed with the dunya. They don't realize that there's so much more out there. And then he gives an example. He says that he says something, and then he says that look at what happened with the people of Thamud. The Quran, Allah Ta'ala says that there was a people, they were called Thamud, and Allah sent them a prophet, his name was Salih. And Salih had the best of teachings. He was going to show them the best way of living. He gave them this camel which had the most barakah, the most blessings. Every time they would go to the camel, they would get milk from it. It would be a source of so much, it was just like everything that they wanted was coming through from Allah through their prophet. But what happened? There was one evil person among the people of Thamud who said that, I'm going to challenge the prophet, I'm going to go and kill the camel. So that's what he did. He hamstrung the camel. Now, after he does that, Allah Ta'ala says that the entire people of Thamud need to be destroyed. What is the verse of Quran? فَأَقَرُوهَا فَأَصْبَحُوا نَادِمِينَ. They all went and they killed the camel and they became regretful. Now Imam Ali says that why does Allah say that they all killed the camel, even though one person killed the camel? He said because when generally people were okay with the camel being killed, Allah Ta'ala said that it's as if they killed the camel as well. Meaning what? Meaning that what Allah is looking at is the condition of our heart. He wants to know where we stand. Really, where do we stand? really, where are we? So on this day of Ashura, every year, it's a gift for us to ask ourselves that where am I? Where do I stand when it comes to Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Imam Hussein's mission was a test for the people at his time, and it's a test for us right now. It's a test to see that where are we practically speaking when it comes to our akhlaq, when it comes to our beliefs, when it comes to our lifestyle, when it comes to our observation of the rules of Islam. Where are we? If it's just the case that we're going to lend Imam Hussein our tears, then we're like that man who walks away from the beggar. What is the point of that? But if we use these tears as inspiration, then we are now coming closer to the message of Karbala. It's very easy. It's very easy for us to sit here and to imagine those events that took place. Yes, it might be a bit uncomfortable sitting on the hard ground. Maybe the sun is beating a little bit. Maybe we get a little bit thirsty. But what kind of sacrifice is that compared to what they had to observe and what they had to endure in Karbala on the day of Ashura? The point is what, brothers and sisters, that we also are being tested, but in different ways. But Karbala and Ashura is an opportunity for us to renew our commitment, to see where do we lie, where does our heart stand. If we say that we do la'an on the people who killed Imam Hussein, then we should similarly have the same type of disgust when it comes to the attributes that they had, and those qualities you find in people around us today, in certain ways of thinking, in certain lifestyles. The lifestyle of being obsessed with the dunya, the lifestyle of being obsessed with satisfying our low desires, the lifestyle of wasting time that's valuable, the lifestyle of being selfish and not caring about akhlaq and not caring about others. On the other hand, Imam Hussein alayhi salam teaches us a lifestyle of absolute servitude to Allah, a lifestyle of knowledge, a lifestyle of akhlaq, a lifestyle of being part of a cause and a mission, and striving to elevate the word of Allah amongst ourselves and amongst the rest of people. These are some of the deeper messages that we can get when we think about what happened in Karbala. So brothers and sisters, now as we're about to say this story and we're crying, let's have our tears not just be for them, but also for us as well. That's one of the most effective ways of crying for Imam Hussein, is that we cry for ourselves. Because all of us know that we have room to grow. We've fallen short. And we all know that when our tests come in our lives, sometimes we fall short. But inshallah, through hearing the story of these people who passed the test in the most amazing way possible, it's an inspiration for us to be able to pass our tests as well. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, Sallallahu alayka ya ibna Rasulillah, أيها المقتول عطشانا بكربلاء. Our peace and blessings be upon you, O Imam Hussein. It's the day of Ashura. We are those who love you. We love your family. We stand for what you stand for. We disassociate ourselves from what your enemy stood for. In hadith, Imam Rida alayhi salam tells one of his companions, Ibn al-Shabib, O Ibn al-Shabib, in kunta bakiyan li shay'in fabki lil Husayn ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib فإنه ذبح كما يذبح الكبش. O the son of Shabib, if you're going to cry for something, then let your tears flow for Hussein, the son of Ali, the son of Abu Talib. Because the way he was killed was the same way that they slaughter sheep. He, along with his family members, were killed. And there was never anyone like them to walk on earth. In hadith we're told that this was the great slaughter that Allah promises to Nabi Ibrahim. When He takes away his son Ismail, He replaces Ismail with a sheep. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. This is the great slaughter that Allah promises the Rasulullah. Brothers and sisters, this is not a day to hold back our tears. Try to take yourselves to Karbala. Imagine that you, along with the Imam of the time, are witnessing what's taking place. Just imagine your Imam on such a day. In Ziyaratul Nahiya, he describes his own condition. He says, فَلَا أَنْدُبَنَّكَ صَبَاحًا وَمَسَاءً وَلَا أَبْكِيَنَّ عَلَيْكَ بَدَلَ الدُّمُوعِ دَمًا. Imam Sahib al-Zaman says that I am going to cry for you and mourn for you every morning and evening. And the tears that I shed will not just be ordinary tears. In place of tears of water, I'll shed tears of blood. That shows the anguish and the pain that the Imam of the time is feeling on such a day of Ashura. In the morning, on the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein leads the morning prayers. This is the last Fajr Salah that he's going to offer in this earth. Afterwards, he turns to his companions. He thanks Allah. He tells them that Allah has given permission for you to be killed today. You have chosen to be with me. Now persevere until the end and fight a mighty battle. He went and prepared them carefully, strategically. He divides his army into a right wing and a left wing. The right wing is under the command of Zuhair ibn Qayn, the warrior. The left wing is under the command of Habib ibn Madahir, the dear companion of Imam Hussein. But who is the army going to be commanded by? Imam Hussein alayhi salam knows no one better, no one more loyal, no one braver than the flag bearer Abbas ibn Ali. So he gives his flag to Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. Imam Hussein alayhi salam looks at the battlefield. He cries out, Allahumma anta thiqati fi kulli karb wa raja'i fi kulli shidda. Oh Allah, you're my trust in every difficulty. You're my hope in every hardship. How many times in my life have I been worried about something, oh Allah, and if you've come and given me comfort? How many times have I been betrayed by my friends? How many times have my plans not worked out and I complain to you, Ya Allah, and place my hope in you? Oh Allah, you are the one who gives me every blessing. You are the one I long for. Brothers and sisters, these are lessons for us in our lives. How much of our life centers around Allah? How much room do we make for Him every day of our life. Imam Hussein alayhi salam addresses the enemy army. He asks them, don't you know who I am? Am I not the son of your prophet's daughter? Am I not the son of his successor? The one who was the first to believe. Is not Hamza my uncle? Is not Ja'far at-Tayyar my uncle? Have you not heard the Messenger of Allah describing me and my brother? هَذَانِ سَيِّدَا شَبَابِ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. These are the true leaders and the masters of the youth of paradise. But these words fall on ears that don't want to listen. They're too obsessed with their own self. They're too attracted to the dunya. They turn away from the Imam. The Imam continues his preparations. He orders that the tents be pitched besides one another and all facing in one direction, so the enemy couldn't attack one tent without attacking all of them. He orders that a ditch be dug and firewood be placed there. He doesn't want anyone to come to the tents just like that. He wants to protect the women and the children until the very end. The battle begins. The companions one by one show their bravery, show their loyalty. Assalamu alaykum ya Ansar Abi Abdullah. We can only send our salam to these noble companions, the likes of Habib and Muslim. One after the other, these companions, Zuhair, the others, they came and they showed what it means to be a Shia till the very end. Then came the time for the family members of the Ahlul Bayt, one after the other. What a day it was, what a day of tragedy. How many times did Imam Hussein have to bid farewell? And only after some time he hears the voice crying out to him, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. How painful it must have been for Imam Hussein when he sees his son Ali Akbar on the battlefield. فَقَتَلُوهُ إِرْبًا إِرْبًا. After they did what they did to him, Imam Hussein cries out, على الدنيا بعدك العفا. The dunya is worthless after you, my dear Ali Akbar. But then comes the time for the sacrifice of Al-Abbas. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas is the dear brother of Imam Hussein. The flag bearer, Imam Hussein tells him that if you were to fall, my entire army is going to fall. I have no one but you, O Abbas. But even Abbas, with all of his bravery and courage, eventually he too falls to the battlefield's ground. History says, ثم التفت الحسين عن يمينه فلم ير أحدا من الرجال والتفت عن يساره فلم ير أحدا. At that point, Imam Hussein looks to his right. He doesn't see anyone standing with him. He looks to the left. He doesn't see anyone standing with him. He hears the cries of the children, the cries of the orphans. He cries out, is there anyone who defends the sanctity of the Messenger of Allah? Is there anyone who believes in Allah, who is going to come to our rescue to please Allah? The only sound that's heard on the battlefield is the cry of the children and the women. It's getting louder and louder. There is one man who is back near the tents, who hears the cry of Imam Hussein. He doesn't hear any response. He knows that the Imam must be responded to. Ali ibn al-Hussein, Imam Sajjad, is very ill. Somehow he gathers the energy to stand up. He was leaning on a cane. He was dragging a sword. He could hardly move. But when he hears his Imam calling, he can't leave him alone. He makes his way out of the tent. When Imam Hussein sees him, he tells Kulthum, احبسيه لألا تخلو الأرض من نسل آل محمد. Oh Kulthum, don't let him go to the battlefield. Sajjad must stay. He is the one to carry on the lineage of Muhammad and his family. He is going to be the Imam after me, but he'll never forget what happened to me. Imam Hussein alayhi salam now prepares to go to the battlefield. He asks for a different garment to wear, to cover himself with. He puts it underneath his armor. They say that this cloth is something which is not very nice. Why is he wearing this? Because he knows the nature of the enemy. He knows they will plunder everything that he has, not just his sword and his armor, but everything they can get their hands on. Then he asks for one more farewell with his young infant son, Abdullah Radi, also known in some reports as Ali Asghar. Zainab brings the baby out. She places him on his lap. Imam Hussein alayhi salam is kissing him on the cheek, on the lips, one side, the other side. He's making dua. He's saying, away with these people. How can they take me, who's the grandson of the Prophet, as their opponent? But then Imam Hussein alayhi salam takes the baby and presents him to the enemy. The only response he gets is not a drop of water, but instead the arrow of Karbala. Then Imam Hussein alayhi salam raises his sword. He advances towards the enemy. The first part of the battle is single combat. One after the other, Imam Hussein challenges them. Each one of them, he is victorious. They can't stop him. It's the son of Ali after all. Eventually, they don't want to send anyone to face him one-on-one. So Imam Hussein alayhi salam readies his sword. He's going to charge at the flanks of the army. He cries out, Al-mawtu awla min rukub al-aar, wal-aar awla min dukhul al-nar. He tells himself and them that never am I going to compromise my religion. Never am I going to compromise my dignity, even if it means that I have to die. He charges one side of their army, then he goes for the other side. They can't stop him. He cries out, Ana al-Husayn ibn Ali, alaytu Allah anthani, ahmi ayalati abi, amdi ala din al-Nabi. I am Hussein, the son of Ali. I will never bow nor bend to the enemy. I will always protect my father's family. I will always remain on the creed of the messenger. But after all, there's been so many difficulties, so many tragedies. The sun is burning, the thirst is very strong. It's just one man facing an entire army whose sole mission is to bring his head to the Khalifa. It's a very difficult situation. How is Imam Hussein alayhi salam coping with it? They say that there was one thing that Imam Hussein was doing again and again. فَجَعَلَ يَكْثُرُ مِنْ قَوْلِي لَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ الْعَلِيِّ الْعَظِيمِ. Whenever it would get difficult, Imam Hussein would find that consolation by crying out, "There is no power nor might save by Allah. The one who is very great, and his greatness overpowers anything else that might have greatness." One of the enemy soldiers says that I never have seen anyone like I saw Imam Hussein on that day, who was surrounded by a huge number of enemies, whose son was slaughtered, whose family were killed, whose companions were martyred. But I still saw him maintain his composure. I saw him never giving up. I saw him never losing his courage. The enemies kept on coming at him wherever he charged them, but no one could stand his ground against Imam Hussein. Finally, Umar ibn Sa'd doesn't want this to continue. He knows that there's a way to stop Imam Hussein. He tells his soldiers, "Don't you know who this is? This is the son of Ali. You have to do things. You have to break the rules of battle. All of you take your arrows and fire them on Hussein." 4,000 arrows were aimed at Hussein. They leave their bows. They all come towards Imam Hussein. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. The Imam tries to continue, but now he's feeling some weakness in his body. He pauses to rest for some time. The enemy sees, they take this as a sign of weakness. They start to advance towards the tents. What do they want from the tents? What kind of animals are these? They're advancing on the tents of the daughters of Rasulullah. When Imam Hussein alayhi salam sees this, he cries out, وَيْلَكُمْ يَا شِيعَةَ آلِ أَبِي سُفْيَانَ إِن لَمْ تَكُنْ لَكُمْ دِينٌ وَكُنْتُمْ لَا تَخَافُونَ الْمَعَادِ فَكُونُوا أَحْرَارًا فِي دُنْيَاكُمْ. O followers of Abi Sufyan, if you don't want to commit yourselves to religion, then at least don't be slaves of your own souls in this world. Don't be slaves of your desires. Be free people. Leave the women alone while I'm alive. Don't go near the tents. Shimr yells at him, "Oh, son of Fatima, what are you saying?" Finally he agrees. He says that, "Okay, Hussein, while you're alive, we'll leave these tents alone." Imam Hussein alayhi salam is suffering from his wounds. He wants some water, but the enemy refuses any water to him. Imam Hussein alayhi salam knows the end is near. He goes back to the tents to say farewell to his family. He cries out, "Ya Zainab, Ya Umma Kulthum, Ya Sakina, Ya Ruqayya, Ya Fatima, alaykunna minni salam." Oh my dear Zainab, oh my dear Kulthum, oh my daughter Sakina, oh my daughter Ruqayya, oh my daughter Fatima, I bid you farewell. Be patient over the trials that will be facing you. This is too difficult for Zainab and the others to bear. They launched themselves at the horse of Imam Hussein. You must have seen the drawings of the artists. It's such a sad scene when the horse is leaving, but the women don't want it to leave. I can't imagine what's going on in the heart of Imam Hussein. History says that Hussein saw his daughter Sakina standing a little bit aside from the others. She was crying, she was distressed. She was one of the favorites of Imam Hussein. So he goes to her. He asks her, "Oh Sakina, why are you standing apart from the others?" She asks him, "Oh my father, are you preparing for death?" Imam Hussein alayhi salam tells her, "After all, what can I do?" She asks him, "Is there any way we can go back to the city of my grandfather?" Imam Hussein alayhi salam says that we're trapped, like we're trapped in a cage. One of the poets has written something from the Zabanul Hal of Sakina, of Imam Hussein, saying to Sakina, perhaps he could have said these words, "Oh my dear one, this is the last time I will see you. Inshallah, the next time we will meet will be at the pond of Kawthar. Oh my dear one, do not weep so much for me. Prepare yourself for being a prisoner. For now you will have to be patient, but it's not the only time for you to cry. So be patient. For Sakina, you will see my body lying on the ground, trampled by the horses, while the blood from my cut veins will still be flowing. So be patient." It was at this time that Umar ibn Asad says to his men, "Woe be to you, go and attack him, he's busy talking to his family." They put they put all their ammunition, they targeted Imam Hussein, arrows are flying everywhere, some of them make their way into the tents. Imam Hussein alayhi salam charges out of the tents. Everywhere he could see one of the enemy soldiers, he goes to him and he attacks him. He's crying out, "La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim." But Imam Hussein alayhi salam can only fight so much. Eventually the enemy strikes him. There's an arrow that comes and lands right on this precious forehead of Imam Hussein. The blood is flowing down from the face of Imam Hussein. He cries out, "O nation of evil, I hope that Allah will grant me the honor of martyrdom." And then he stands to rest, and then one of the enemy takes a stone. He hits Imam Hussein on the forehead. Imam Hussein alayhi salam is wiping the blood from his eyes. But then another man, from a short range, he takes an arrow. It's not an ordinary arrow, it's a three-pronged arrow. He fires it, it falls right in the chest of Imam Hussein. Right away Imam Hussein cries out, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Bismillahi wa billah wa ala millati Rasulillah." He raises his head to the heavens, "Oh Allah, you know they are killing a man besides whom there is no other son of your Prophet's daughter. They're killing the son of Fatima." He takes his blood, he throws it to the sky as if he's offering a sacrifice to Allah. He cries out, "Make what's happening to me to be easy for me. It's being witnessed by Allah. I want to appear in front of my grandfather with my beard drenched with my own blood. But now the blood is leaving Imam Hussein's body. He sits on the ground. He's filled with blood. One of the enemy soldiers raises his sword to deal the final blow. There is one who is watching. It's the son of Hassan, the brother of Qasim. Abdullah is just a child. He sees what's happening to his uncle. He sees that he's alone. He runs towards the battlefield. He wants to help. He wants to be like Qasim. When Imam Hussein sees this, he cries out to Zainab, "Oh Zainab, don't let him come." But Abdullah cannot be stopped. He reaches his uncle. The sword is coming down on Imam Hussein. He doesn't have a sword of his own. He's just a child. He takes his own arm. He raises it. He wants to protect his uncle. The sword falls down on the arm of Abdullah. Imam Hussein already had to have his baby be killed in his own lap. Now he has the young son of Hassan in his own lap. He tells him, "Oh, my nephew, be patient. Soon you will join your father, Hassan." But Karbala, the child killer, won't see this happen. He launches an arrow. It strikes Abdullah ibn al-Hassan. Now the enemy is going to finish off the act. They surround him. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. One of them strikes his left shoulder. Another one strikes his right. Another one shoots him in the mouth with an arrow. One of them stabs his side. At that point, Imam Hussein raises his eyes to the heavens. He cries out, "Allahumma muta'ali al-makan, azim al-jabarut, shadid al-mihal." O Allah, you are the Most High. It is you that I seek help from when I am in fear. It is to you I cry when I am distressed. O Allah, it's your help that I seek in my weakness, and upon you that I rely. Some reports say that Imam Hussein alayhi salam was in that state of whispering to Allah for 3 hours on the ground, on the desert of Karbala. None of the enemy soldiers wanted to come and finish off the deed. But eventually there is one amongst them. He is the Mal'un Shimr Dhil Joshan. He advances to Imam Hussein. He is loosening his dagger. The only one who is there to support Imam Hussein is his sister Zainab. She comes near to the killing pit. She cries out, "Wa Muhammadah, wa Abata, wa Aliya, wa Ja'fara, wa Hamza. هذا حسين بالعراء ضريع بكربلاء." O Muhammad, O my father, O Ali, O Ja'far, O Hamza, here is Hussein in the open, slain in Karbala. There's a poet who describes what is happening here as if Zainab is saying the following: he ran and I ran, he ran toward the killing pit while I ran towards the killer himself. He sat down and I sat down, he sat down on my brother's chest. I sat down unable to bear what I am seeing. He drew and I drew, he drew his dagger from his belt. while I drew a sigh of grief from my chest. He severed and I severed. He severed my brother's head, while I severed my hope in all but Allah. Another poet says the following: now that you are left only with tear-filled eyes, O Hussein, and you are alone, and you have no helper, will you let your Zainab wear some armor so that your enemy doesn't say that you have no army? Will you let me bring water for the people of the tents so that you don't have to say you don't have any water bearer? Let me be the one to wipe the spots of blood from your lips. After all, my dear one, don't you still have your sister? Hussein, I will come tonight to the killing pit to visit you, even though it will be too late and you won't have a head anymore. Zainab alayhi salam turns to Umar ibn Sa'd. She asks him, أَيُقْتَلُ أَبُو عَبْدِ اللَّهِ وَأَنْتَ تَنْظُرُ إِلَيْهِ? Will you allow Abu Abdullah to be killed and you're just looking on? But Umar ibn Sa'd doesn't have anything to answer her with. He just looks away. Shimr la'natullahi alayhi goes to the blessed chest of Imam Hussein. He takes a hold of his beard. وَالشِّمْرُ جَالِسٌ عَلَى صَدْرِكَ وَمُولِعٌ سَيْفُهُ عَلَى نَهْرِكَ. His sword is running down the neck of Hussein. Imam Hussein cries out, who are you? You have climbed onto a very special position. Imam Rida says they slaughtered him the same way they slaughter sheep. The angels cry out from the sky, oh to Allah, oh Allah, what's happening to Hussein? He is your representative on the earth. He is the son of your prophet. This is too much for them to bear. The horse of Imam Hussein is making its way back to the tents. The ladies are waiting for it. But this time they don't hear the words of Imam Hussein saying, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. The horse doesn't have a rider. Sakina talks to the horse. She says to it, Ya Jawad Abi, Ya Jawad Abi, oh horse of my father, I have one question for you. Al-Suqya bi am qutila atjana. Did they give any water to my father? Or did they kill him while he was thirsty? Allah la'natullahi ala al-qawmi al-zalimin. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله. 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 بأبي أنت وأمي بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله 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 بأبي أنت وأمي أبا عبد الله بأبي أنت Abdullah, my Sakina, come to me, my sweet. Come and give your father a kiss on his cheek, my sweet. My Sakina, come to me, my sweet. Come and give your father a kiss on his cheek, my sweet. I only hope you will find a way up to me here. I only hope you will find a way up to me here. Look above you, my head on a spear. Bi anta wa ummi, ba Abdullah. Bi anta wa ummi, ya 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 ba Abdullah. Bi anta Abdullah, oh my father, be you proud of me. Yesterday in Karbala, Akbar became Shaheed. Oh my father, be you proud of me. Yesterday in Karbala, Akbar became Shaheed. Don't you worry anymore, I'm now so happy here. Don't you worry anymore, I'm now so happy here. Comfortably resting up on the tip of this spear. Bi anta wa ummi ya ba Abdullah. Bi anta wa ummi ya ba Abdullah. Bi anta wa ummi ya ba Abdullah. Bi anta wa ummi ya Bi anta wa ummi ya ba Abdullah. Bi Ma Abdullah, my Sakina, how you need to rest. Let daddy lull you asleep, put your head on my chest. My Sakina, how you need to rest. Let daddy lull you asleep, put your head on my chest. Just forgive me for I cannot kiss or stroke your head. Just forgive me for I cannot kiss or stroke your head. Look away, please look away, they have taken my head. Bi anta wa ummi ya Aba Abdullah. Bi anta wa ummi ya Aba Abdullah. Bi anta wa ummi ya Aba Bi anta wa ummi ya Aba Abdullah. Bi anta wa ummi ya Aba Abdullah. Bi Abdullah, Ya Ibrahim, how patient you were. How difficult it must have been, you never wavered. Ya Ibrahim, how patient you were. How difficult it must have been, you never wavered. It was so hard that you covered your eyes with a cloth. It was so hard that you covered your eyes with a cloth. But when Akbar returned lifeless, Hussein had no cloth. Bi anta wa ummi, Aba Abdullah. 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 Bi anta Abdullah, oh my Asghar, how you cry, my sweet. How daddy's heart is breaking to see you in this heat. Oh my Asghar, how you cry, my sweet. How daddy's heart is breaking to see you in this heat. Don't you worry, father has something that will quench your thirst. Don't you worry, father has something that will quench your thirst. Drink the three-headed arrow, it will quench all your thirst. Bi anta wa ummi, Aba Abdullah. 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 Bi anta. Well, let's see how it goes. End it. Hussein. His voice. Allah. Hussein is the rising sword of God. Allah. Hussein. Hussein is the rising sword of God. Oh shoot. Let us see what we can find from the lives of Hussein's men who wrote the truth with a bloody pen. Thought Allah, Hussein is the rising sword of God. Thought Allah. In our heart there lies a scar carved in by Ali Akbar. Young indeed, but there was the need for the wrath of a lion heart. Thought Allah. Hussein is the rising sword of God. Thought Allah. Hussein is the rising sword of God. Thought Allah, Hussein is the rising sword of God. Thought Allah, Hussein is the rising sword of God. And of Abbas, what can we say? Look at his body at the end of the day. And of Abbas, what can we say? Look at his body at the end of the day. Bloodied and cleaved, now perceive the faith of a soldier who truly believed. Thought Allah. Hussein is the rising sword of God. Thought Allah. Hur the free was able to see the clarity of the Imam's plea. Hur the free was able to see the clarity of the Imam's plea. He switched his side and changed the tide and rushed to his death with battle pride. Thought Allah. Hussein is the rising sword of God. Thought Allah. Hussein is the rising sword of God. There's Habib wishing to be the first cut down by the enemy. There's Habib wishing to be the first cut down by the enemy. His loyalty was completely for the son of Imam Ali. Thought Allah. Everyone together, day of Ashura. Thought Allah. Hussein is the rising sword of God. And the Sa'id ready to bleed for the sake of Muhammad's queen. And the Sa'id ready to bleed for the sake of Muhammad's queen. In Salat the airs he chilled till his fate was finally sealed. Thought Allah. Hussein is the rising sword of God. Thought Allah. Hussein is the rising word of God. Thought Allah. Hussein is the rising word of God. Thought Allah. Mahdi. Hussein is the rising sword of God. Salam. Thank you, السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت صليت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا يجعل الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم all together to Karbala. Assalamu ala al-Husayn wa ala al-Husayn wa ala أولاد الحسين wa ala أصحاب الحسين وعلى جميع شهداء كربلاء خصوصا ذا الفضل العباس يا قمر بني هاشم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا علي ابن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا إمام محمد الباقر علم النبيين. السلام عليك يا إمام جعفر الصادق. السلام عليك يا إمام موسى الكاظم. السلام عليك يا إمام علي بن موسى الرضا المرتضى. السلام عليك يا إمام محمد بن علي الجواد. السلام عليك يا إمام علي بن محمد الهادي. السلام عليك يا إمام حسن بن علي الزكي العسكري. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. أجرك الله يا بقية الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. All together دعاء فرج إن شاء الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة. All together. وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا حتى تسكنه أرضك وتمتعوا فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين بالنبي وآله. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات. محمد تقبل الله. ما شاء الله ما شاء الله.
Brothers and sisters,